3 wide back there.
Oh,
my goodness.
Elliott into Bell, hard hitting the wall. Tenth yellow of the day.
Window net drops.
Christopher Bell drove 400 miles at Pocono with a broken wrist, and somehow that might not even be the hardest part of his week. Because now NASCAR is headed to San Diego, and the people inside the sport are already talking about who might replace him. Let's break down everything that's happening with Bell right now, starting from the beginning. It all started at Michigan International Speedway. Bell was having a great race, running near the front, when Chase Elliott lost control of his car on lap 148. Elliott slid right into Bell, and what happened next was not pretty.
Look at that safer barrier, and it moves 50% of the way to that outside wall.
I want to give NASCAR a ton of credit. All the safety inside the cars, the headrests. They are.
Man, what an exchange.
Bell's car went straight into the outside wall at a terrible angle. The hit was so bad that it actually bent and broke the steel safety barrier. The race had to stop for 20 full minutes just to fix the wall. Dale Earnhardt Jr. was watching from the broadcast booth and said, "I don't think you'll see a car hit a wall at a worse angle at a harder, faster impact than right there." That pretty much tells you everything. When NASCAR looked at the data, they found that the crash registered between 62 and 69 Gs. To give you some context, the previous biggest recorded crash using their current system was Ryan Blaney at Daytona, and that one hit 70 Gs. Bell's crash was officially the hardest hit ever recorded in NASCAR's next-gen era, the biggest in nearly 10 years. Now here is the part that is honestly incredible. Bell walked out of that car on his own. He had a fractured left wrist and a badly bruised foot. No head injuries, no surgery needed. Bell talked about what it was like in those moments right after the crash. He said,
"Yeah, I knew my wrist was broke right away because I couldn't disconnect my shirt. So I reached down, tried to disconnect my shirt, and I couldn't squeeze the button, so I had to use my right hand to do that. And then yeah, my foot hurt really, really bad too. But you know, we got X-rays on my foot. It just ended up being bruised. So yeah, beside my foot and my wrist, I was good to go."
His earpiece had also popped out from the impact, so he couldn't hear his spotter checking on him. His wife was listening and had no idea if he was okay. And then he noticed his car was on fire, so he got out as fast as he could. Bell said he knew his head was fine almost immediately. No headache, no blackout. He remembered everything. He called it a blessing, and honestly, it really was. Chase Elliott felt terrible about what happened. The moment he saw Bell out of the car, people around them said Elliott looked shaken up. He went straight to the media and said, "Totally my fault, feel really bad for Bell." No excuses, no blame shifting. And then throughout the entire week, Chase kept texting Bell to check on him. Bell talked about it before Pocono and said,
I can't speak highly enough of Chase as well. Like the moment that he saw me out of the car, he was visibly shaken up and, you know, concerned about me, and I appreciate, you know, so much his demeanor and you know, his thoughts of me, and he's reached out several times throughout the week to make sure I'm okay.
Bell also said his phone had been going non-stop all week. Competitors, teammates, old friends from his dirt racing days. Everyone was reaching out. He called it surreal. So now the question was simple. Could Bell actually race at Pocono just 1 week later? The answer was yes, but it was going to be complicated. Bell's doctors said the bone would take about 6 weeks to fully heal. No surgery was needed because nothing was displaced. But right now, Bell was essentially driving with one working hand. His team got to work making things easier for him. They took material off the left side of the steering wheel to make it thinner so the cast could fit around it better. They moved his drink system, radio controls, and helmet blower all to the right side of the car so he wouldn't have to reach across with the injured wrist. Brandon Jones, a driver from a lower NASCAR series, was brought in as a backup. Jones sat through every simulator session during the week just in case Bell couldn't finish the race. Brad Keselowski, who has raced through serious injuries himself, was asked about Bell's situation on the pre-race show. He pointed out something really important. It wasn't just the physical side of things, it was the mental side too. Keselowski said, "More than the physical damage, I think of the mental side of getting back in a race car after a hit like that. There's some part of his brain somewhere that's saying, I don't know if I want to do this. And I think of the bravery it takes to be a race car driver after a hit like that. Get back out there, get in your car, and drive it to the limit." He also talked about the physical difficulty of Pocono specifically. Pocono is a track where drivers have to shift gears a lot, and that means using both arms constantly. Keselowski said, "The physical challenge, it's not going to be easy for him, particularly at a track you have to shift so much at, because he's going to have to use his arms differently here, and it's going to be very intense." Bell went out and raced all 400 miles. Brandon Jones never had to get in the car, but the race itself did not go well. The number 20 team was struggling for speed all day. Crew chief Adam Stevens made a bold call on lap 107, deciding to stay out on old fuel and try to stretch it to the end without another pit stop. For a moment, it was actually working. Bell led the race with a 17-second gap over teammate Denny Hamlin. But the fuel ran out. Hamlin passed him with 4 laps to go, and Bell crossed the finish line in 26th place. Stevens said afterward, "We just sucked all day, and we were going to run 18th to 25th. It was worth a shot, just a lap and a quarter short." Bell was honest about how the wrist affected things. He said, "My wrist is fine whenever I'm by myself, but certainly any sort of adverse conditions, I just don't really have the ability to make sharp, quick corrections to the car. So whenever I run by myself and we got single filed out, I felt like it didn't bother me, but I certainly think it affected our restarts." 2 weeks, Michigan and Pocono, 2 cars that were fast enough to win, a 31st and a 26th to show for it. That's a tough stretch for any driver, let alone one racing with a broken bone. Now here is where things get really interesting heading into San Diego. Pocono is an oval. Ovals are hard with one arm, but they're manageable. San Diego is a street course. That is a completely different situation. The San Diego street race at Naval Base Coronado is brand new. Nobody has ever raced there before. The course has lots of tight turns, bumpy roads that can make cars loose, and narrow sections where crashes are expected to happen early and often. On a street course, drivers are constantly shifting, constantly making quick steering corrections, and constantly dealing with unexpected situations. That is basically everything Bell said he cannot do right now. After Pocono, Bell did not sound confident about San Diego. The report from The Athletic said he basically admitted he would have to drive with one arm. If everything is calm and he's running by himself, he can manage, but the moment things get chaotic, the wrist becomes a real problem.
Bell will be evaluated again this week. If doctors and the team decide by Friday's practice that the pain is too much or the limitations are too serious, JGR will need another driver in the number 20 car. And that is where Motorsports reporter Jordan Bianchi of The Athletic comes in. On his podcast, Bianchi said that 18-year-old Brent Cruz is being talked about as a possible replacement for Bell in San Diego. Now, Cruz has never driven in the NASCAR Cup Series before, not once, so putting him in a Cup car on a brand new street course with no prior experience at this level would be a big gamble for Joe Gibbs Racing. But here is the interesting part. Denny Hamlin, one of the most experienced drivers on the JGR team, has actually been leaning on Cruz for information about the San Diego track. Bianchi said that when he talked to Hamlin about the race, Hamlin told him, "I'm going to lean on Brent Cruz a little bit because Brent has had more laps there on the iRacing stuff than the other guys." So Cruz knows the virtual version of this track better than anyone else on the team. That is why his name is being brought up. If Bell does start the race and then has to come out, JGR can put a replacement driver in. Bell would lose out on stage points, but the team would still earn points for wherever the car finishes. It protects the team even if it costs Bell personally. Bell will be reevaluated this week. Another cast will go on, and by Friday, everyone will know whether he is racing or whether Brent Cruz is about to make the most unexpected Cup Series debut in recent memory.